Welcome to the Coach Kiefer Show, featuring Fairmont State's acrobatics and tumbling head coach, Christy Kiefer. This week's show is sponsored by Muriel's Italian Restaurant and Catering in Fairmont.
7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Fairmont State was one of the 6 original schools. We, along with 5 other schools, started acrobatics and tumbling. In the very beginning, we pulled together with different administrators from different institutions, and we looked at formatting our skills into a sport format. And it kind of started out from that beginning. The majority of our teams were really strong in competitive cheer, and we had been competing at that time in competitive cheer. Once we had our base of our schools that started, we had more schools starting to come on board who created their teams for this sport specifically. So we actually elevated. We elevated from a competitive cheer program, which is what we were, and historically we've been very, very strong with that. We began with our first national championship back in 1995, and then we hit again, I think in 2000, had 3 or 4 more, and then we ended up with our final one with NCAA, which is 2010, and that's the year when this all really started about. We've been growing gradually and steadily, and it's really starting to catch on across the country, and especially in our region. We now, this coming fall, will have 3 schools, 3 institutions in the state of West Virginia alone who will be have acrobatics and tumbling at their institutions. And we have others that are not too far away. We have one in Tennessee, we have one in Erie, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut, and then we have it spreading clear across the West Coast and as far as Hawaii, which is where we were fortunate enough to take a spring break trip this year to compete against Hawaii, HPU, and we also competed at Oregon. We went to Mackey Knight Arena and competed against the University of Oregon too. If you look at our sport, we're sanctioned under USA Gymnastics. We fall under that, and when our athletes come in, they are taught the actual format of how our scoring works. We have different events. If you've been to a gymnastics meet, you'll see how you have different events coming through. We're kind of like that, based that way, but the skills are completely different than artistic gymnastics, which is what many people are used to seeing at different gymnastic meets. And we have a compulsory round, and within that compulsory round, we have all of our different elements, such as toss, and we have acro, and we have pyramids, and we also have tumbling, and that's where you're actually evaluating apples to apples. One team will come out and do a skill set, then the other team will come out, and they start with a start value of 10, and you deduct from that 10. You look for little flaws, maybe legs apart, maybe knees bent, maybe body position is not correct, and so that's how your scoring comes from that. So the scoring kind of evolves around the same thought process as artistic gymnastics does as well. When we go into our other events and going through, we get to create what skills we're doing, and we're capped at a 10. And in most of our events, we can actually get up to a 10. When we look at pyramids and we look at acro, we're able to get those up to 10s. Our tosses, we're pretty close, not too far away from a 10, but that's an area that we struggle a little bit more with, and we're working on, and each year we're getting better and better with it, and with us recruiting new athletes, it continues to improve. I don't believe any school they have perfect 10s across in their tosses. Same thing with tumbling. Tumbling, you max out at a 10, and depending upon how difficult your skills are, and how you connect your skills together, and where you connect them and how many you do, will determine what your start value is. And then once you have your start value, then that's where your deductions start taking place. Our final event we have is a team routine, and our team routine is a 2.5-minute routine, which consists of all those elements put together, and you have that final start value, which maxes out at 110, and your deductions start coming from that. You're looking who has legs apart, who doesn't stick their landings clean, if they're acro, if it's shaky, or if their pyramids aren't stable, and if they have a toss and the cradle's off. So it's trying to perfect what you do. So technique is very important. We really focus a lot on fundamentals and cleanliness.
I heard about it from, one of my friends who used to be on Fairmont State's team. She was on the competitive cheer team. who won nationals, and she told me how they were transferring over to acrobatics and tumbling, but I really didn't know what it was about, and I was like, well, they won a national title, like, I'm gonna go look at it. And then the day I came here for my visit and to look and try out, like, it just, everyone was so welcoming with open arms, and it made me want to do the sport. I didn't really even know what it was. Like, I had no idea that it was acrobatics and tumbling because I didn't get to come to a meet my senior year of high school. So I came in like blindsided. Like, I thought it was still a little bit of, you know, like competitive cheer, but no, not at all. It's kind of cool. Well, everything's broken down into heats. Like competitive cheer, you just have a 2-minute and 30-second routine. Now acrobatics and tumbling, it's broken down into like 19 heats, and then at the 19th heat, well, the 19th thing is like your team routine, the 2-minute and 30-second routine. So it's way more intense than I ever expected it to be, especially like coming into it not knowing like what I was gonna do.
Tune in next Friday for another edition of the Coach Kiefer Show here at timeswv.com.